The story opens at Shibuya Crossing at night. Meet Ore. He is standing there in a ridiculous dog mascot suit, freezing in the cold while waiting for his online e-girl crush, Mo-chan. He has been hyping up this meetup forever, convinced that tonight is finally going to be his big moment. But there is one brutal problem. Mo-chan has been playing him for laughs the whole time. While she shows off online, Ore is left standing alone in the cold, and heartbreak is not even the thing that kills him. Out of nowhere, a massive macaroni delivery truck slams into him and sends his mascot head flying. Blood goes everywhere. It is sudden, violent, and completely absurd, but the universe still is not finished with him. While he is bleeding out on the asphalt, a flaming meteor crashes down from the sky and lands directly on his head. That is not bad luck. That is catastrophic, impossible, final boss level bad luck. He is vaporized instantly. Then Ore wakes up floating in a wild neon cosmic void. He is confused and disoriented, trying to process what just happened. He wonders if he is dead. Before he can get an answer, a random man in a sharp suit floats past him and casually brags that this is his second time being reincarnated. It is a very strange flex. Ore barely has time to react before he gets sucked into a high-speed space tunnel. It feels like the most chaotic cosmic roller coaster imaginable. He rockets through the galaxy at blinding speed on his way to final judgment, then drops into a bizarre celestial council chamber. Imagine a boardroom run by mythological oddballs. There is a giant Thunder King lookalike, a calm, enlightened sage, and an Egyptian rabbit-like divine figure. The suited man from earlier acts like the host. They are running a literal lottery to decide what everyone will reincarnate as. A cosmic gotcha ball is rolled for one soul, and just like that, he gets assigned the fate of a disgusting sludge slime. Now Ore is sweating. When his turn comes, the council realizes that something is wrong. His soul is marked as an irregular type. Before anyone can decide what to do with him, the floor opens beneath him and he drops screaming through a trapdoor into the unknown. After a chaotic fall through giant golden coins and a pastel-colored gotcha realm, Ore crashes into a pristine white throne room. A strange round bird-like creature greets him first. Then he sees her, a tiny pale blue celestial overseer seated in the chamber with eyes that seem to carry the weight of the universe. She tells him in a cold and steady voice that this is where his fate will be decided. Or, trying to hide his social anxiety, immediately switches into flirt mode. He actually thinks he can charm a literal cosmic authority. Huge mistake. Without even blinking, she hits him with a suppression spell that zaps him on the spot and shuts him down instantly. She does not tolerate nonsense for even a second. Now trapped in a magical bubble, Ore starts begging for a cheat skill, some broken overpowered ability that will make his next life easy, but the overseer is completely unmoved. She shuts down his shady mindset immediately. And when his flirting fails, she delivers the ultimate reality check by pulling up a replay of his death, run over by a truck, then flattened by a meteor, all while holding a sign for an e-girl. She calls him exactly what he looks like in that moment, a miserable loser. Still, this bizarre waiting room exists to give hopeless souls like him another chance. Reincarnation is not a free reward, it is a system, and a painfully bureaucratic one. Ore is handed a cosmic tablet so he can choose his next life, and naturally his imagination goes straight to the classic isekai dream, a cheat-powered harem hero. Then the overseer drops a devastating truth on him. The afterlife works like the worst government office imaginable. The more popular the role, the longer the waiting line. Want to be a golden armored hero? That comes with a 54,000 year wait. Want to become the demon lord? That is a 27,000 year queue. Even being reborn as a random background villager in a peaceful town takes 500 years. Ore panics instantly. Desperation turns his brain to mush. He starts swiping across the tablet in a frenzy, searching for any loophole with zero waiting time. He absolutely refuses to be reincarnated as something like a paramecium microbe, which is somehow a real possibility. Then at last, he finds an option with almost no queue at all. There is only one catch. The class is the hero's rib. Yes, a literal bone inside another man's body. The overseer warns him. She explains that only people with no patience and no imagination choose bizarre non-human roles like that. But Ore is blinded by the promise of immediate respawn. He locks in the choice, fully convinced that he has outsmarted the entire universe. He has not. The portal to his new life opens with a surge of cosmic light. As his capsule drifts toward it, the overseer looks at him and gives a soft warning. Be careful. Or's heart starts racing. He thinks this means she has finally become sweet toward him. He clasps his hands and basks in the feeling of being special for the first time in his life. Then reality hits. This overseer does not do gentle send-offs. Without hesitation, she unleashes a blast of celestial lightning into his capsule, frying him completely before launching his screaming body straight through the portal. So much for a peaceful departure. And just like that, the most ridiculous reincarnation imaginable begins. Or blasts into the new world like a cosmic cannonball. You would think this is where his grand isekai adventure finally starts. Wrong. Less than 10 seconds later, he comes flying right back through the portal, screaming at full volume, and faceplants onto the floor of the throne room. The overseer is not even surprised. Or pants on the ground and complains that he never got his happy ending because the hero ignored him completely. Of course he did. Or was only a rib. To settle the argument, the overseer plays back the full replay of his glorious new life. Now we meet the hero of that world. He is enormous. He wears shining golden armor, rides a unicorn, and carries himself like the center of the universe. He crushes a terrifying multi-eyed demon lord with a single strike, splitting it in half as if the fight means nothing. And inside that broad heroic chest, Ore exists as a glowing rib. At first it sounds incredible, but things get ugly fast. Instead of saving the world with honor, the hero starts building a giant harem of monster girls, princesses, and celestial maidens. Meanwhile, the one red-haired companion who stood by him from the beginning gets pushed aside and forgotten. She ends up carrying his apples and crying alone in the shadows while he chases attention from everyone else. The resentment starts building. This is no longer a heroic legend, it is a disaster waiting to happen. The hero is far too arrogant to notice the blade slowly lining up behind him. Eventually, the abandoned companion snaps, but she misses his heart. Instead, she stabs his 11th right rib. That rib is Ore. The moment it is struck, it bursts out of the hero's body in a blaze of light and transforms into a perfect clone of him. It is like a warped creation myth, except now there are two massive warriors trying to kill each other. The original hero and the clone crash into a high-speed duel that shakes the battlefield. Sparks erupt, magic surges, their blades slam together in a deadlock that looks impossible to break. But the original hero still has one final edge. He charges up a blinding energy beam and fires it point blank into the clone. The blast vaporizes the clone's chest completely, leaving only a single charred rib drifting through the air. The clone is erased. Back in the throne room, Ore and the overseer watch this miserable ending on the monitor. On the screen, the surviving hero launches into a ridiculously arrogant speech about claiming all the power of the ribs. Ore sits there roasting him for his awful pacing and generic villain monologue. And then the story gets even wilder. The hero's legend does not end with his death. His power splits into 24 separate fragments, specifically his ribs. 23 of those rib fragments go on to become unbelievable legends. Some fire laser beams, some ride water dragons, some summon cosmic hammers, some build vast clone armies like some twisted network marketing empire. Some of them find love. Some of them trigger giant magical battles that tear open the sky. And then there is Ore. Ore is the 24th fragment, and his grand destiny is not heroism, glory, or love. He gets used as a literal toothpick. While the other ribs are out changing history, Ore spends his existence in the mouth of a feral beast girl heroine like a discarded piece of jerky. Or, in the calm little overseer, watch this humiliating broadcast together, and the whole thing is painfully embarrassing. But glory does not last forever. One by one, all of those overpowered ribs that were once showing off against demon lords eventually shatter. The heroes fall. Their fragments return to being broken, useless bones. The heroines grieve over them, build graves for them, and cry dramatic tears over their tragic ends. But Ore does not even get that much dignity. After the beast girl casually throws him away, a sweet-looking farm heroine finds him. For one brief second, it almost seems like fate is finally going to show him a little kindness. It does not. She tosses him straight into a wood chipper and uses the crushed remains as magical fertilizer for her cabbages. Just like that, Ore is reduced to literal bone dust. Game over. Then, bam, Ore is back in the Overseer's gleaming lobby again. The craziest part is that he did not even feel any pain when he got turned into plant food. The Overseer, perfectly calm as always, explains that he can keep respawning without a problem. To prove it, she casually fires a giant pink laser at him. He regenerates instantly, completely restored. As a strange apology gift for how awful his life turned out, she gives him a keepsake, the broken curved fragment of his 11th rib. She tells him to throw it away, or does not. Because he is sentimental, awkward, and maybe a little pathetic, he keeps it and even uses it to massage his back. At this point, Ore has had enough. He says he wants to give up entirely, but the Overseer refuses to let him quit that easily. She pulls out a reincarnation lottery box, and Ore immediately notices something. Is that not the same snack box she was eating from 5 minutes ago? The bird mascot looks horrified. Ore is suspicious, but he goes through with it anyway and pulls the lever, hoping for a much cooler class this time. A blue gotcha ball pops out. The result is revealed. He is being reincarnated as a hermit crab, from a chewed up rib to a crustacean, before all the chaos of being reborn as a rib, or was never some legendary hero. He was just a regular guy bouncing between odd jobs, handing out flyers, directing traffic, and doing whatever he could to get by. But beneath that ordinary life, he had one extreme obsession, finding the perfect mysterious figure. He did not stop at collecting anime merchandise or grinding through dating sims. He went far beyond that, traveling across the world and even joining a real archaeological dig in the middle of a blazing desert, all to uncover a gigantic ancient statue of a higher being. Yet after all that effort, after all that sweat and excitement, he still felt empty. It was not the figure he had been searching for. Back in the shining respawn lobby, the mysterious figure calmly sips her tea and immediately calls out his fake adventurer story, or folds almost instantly and admits the truth. He was basically just a hardcore gamer obsessed with dating sims. Trying to recover, he attempts to flirt with her, first rating her at 96% and then quickly upgrading that to 98. She is not impressed at all. With a blank expression, she warns him that if he ever gives her a full 100%, she will taxidermy him and display him as room decor. The bird mascot completely loses it, and Ore starts panicking. The whole thing goes from dating sim fantasy to survival horror in an instant. To move things along before Ore becomes decoration, they roll the gotcha again. The blue capsule reveals his next life, Hermit Crab, an actual crustacean. The mysterious figure explains that even becoming a crab has a waiting list and that some monsters are stuck waiting 600 years for the chance. To skip that ridiculous queue, she placed a premium buff on his new life and sent him straight through the portal. Then she realizes she is still holding the broken rib souvenir from before, so she casually throws it in after him. The moment it enters, a huge space explosion erupts, and the very next second, Ore is back in the respawn lobby. The wild part is that he really did live an entire life in the meantime. He leveled up, defeated a tyrant-level boss, and rose all the way to become a mafia-style crab kingpin before getting crushed out of nowhere. To explain it, the replay begins. Tiny Crab survives the brutal seafloor and is eventually discovered by a legendary hero named Ritsun Beru. That is where the premium buff activates, or transforms into the hero's ultimate weapon, blazing with enough power to split mountains, shatter the earth, and tear through entire battlefields. The hero dominates everything in his path like an unstoppable force. But when the dust settles, the hero glances at his shoulder and falls into an existential crisis. Why is his ultimate legendary weapon a hermit crab? He desperately tries to throw Ore away, only to learn that the premium buff has turned Ore into a cursed item he cannot be discarded, ever. To protect himself from embarrassment and keep the cursed item under control, the hero writes his name on Ore's shell and hurls him back into the ocean, or does not mind at all. At the bottom of the sea, he meets a breathtaking pink-haired sea woman of mystic power. In pure dating sim fashion, he wins her heart and turns her ancient temple into a neon love hotel. Watching from the lobby, the mysterious figure is furious. This was supposed to be some grand heroic journey. Instead, it becomes a honeymoon. But the happy phase does not last long. A colossal shadow monster named Leviathan attacks the hotel and slices off Ore's right claw. Bleeding and broken, Or is saved by a catfish master named Benizaki who had been relaxing in the sun nearby. Driven by revenge, Or throws himself into an intense training arc under Master Benizaki. He learns an absurdly over-the-top ultimate technique called the Purgatory Roaring Flame Thunderclap Underworld Kick. Once his training is complete, he confronts Leviathan and cleanly decapitates the giant beast with a single strike of his claw. Victorious at last, he returns to the pink-haired sea woman, ready for the ending he had always wanted. But the moment she lovingly holds him, she coughs up blood and dies instantly. The reason is brutal. Because of the premium buff, Or can only function as a hero-exclusive weapon. Anyone else who tries to wield him suffers fatal curse recoil, consumed by rage, or goes after the hero himself. The hero throws a dramatic punch, but Or catches it casually with one claw. Back in the lobby, the mysterious figure points out the joke with perfect timing. Scissors beats rock. After the tension dies down, the hero reveals that they still have to defeat the ruler of the underworld, a terrifying three-headed dragon. The final battle begins. The hero throws Or at the monster, and then, in a completely ridiculous turn, dies immediately to a random flock of minor birds. Left alone, Or unleashes the full power of the Purgatory Roaring Flame Thunderclap Underworld Kick, triggering a gigantic explosion that vaporizes the dragon and devastates the entire landscape. Anyone would assume that destroying the underworld ruler would make Or a living legend. Instead, society refuses to accept a hermit crab as a hero. In the end, he simply grows old and dies. Back in the respawn lobby, the mysterious figure is furious that he managed to reach something close to a happy ending. Trying to lighten the mood, Or offers her a can of Benizaki salmon. That turns out to be a terrible decision. Her affection meter instantly hits 100%. She pulls out a cosmic knife and gives him the exact taxidermy ending she threatened him with earlier, or becomes nothing more than a stuffed crab head. And because he keeps trying to look up her skirt, she drops a box over his head. Immediate game over. She lounges on her throne, casually eating the cursed canned salmon, and decides it is time for another round of misery. She seals Or's stuffed crab head inside a mysterious white box, but Or refuses to stay contained. Like a horror movie monster, he tears right through the paper seal and startles her. She responds without hesitation, blasting him into nothing with a massive pink laser. Respawn. At last, Or returns in his original human form. He is so relieved to be free from the taxidermy nightmare that he actually begs her to flatten him just to hard reset everything. One violent cartoon-style squish later, he is fully human again and thanking his lucky stars. Now that he is finally comfortable, the mysterious figure immediately announces his next reincarnation class, and it is somehow even more ridiculous than anything before. The right door of the Demon King's castle. Before Or can even begin to process that madness, he gets pulled into the portal using the exact same recycled animation as before, something he even complains about out loud. Sure enough, he is reborn as a heavy wooden door covered in iron studs, complete with a gargoyle-shaped knocker. He cannot move at all and spends that strange existence stuck in a dark dungeon. That life ends quickly, and he returns to the shining lobby once more. Bored and hungry, Or uses willpower and magic to summon a full kitchen setup. He ties on an apron and starts cooking a bowl of curry and rice while they prepare to watch the replay of his life as a door. As he casually eats, the replay reveals something unbelievable. His former door self absolutely destroyed anyone who tried to get through him. One of the Demon King's elite generals, a smug green gargoyle, attempts to force the door open and is instantly crushed out of existence. Then comes General Gorenza, an undefeated fire bull demon who brags about wiping out entire armies. He charges the door with both axes raised, only for the door to slam shut so violently that he is reduced to a glowing purple puddle. One after another, the most terrifying commanders in the demon army try to enter the throne room. Every single one of them gets mercilessly flattened by what is, at the end of the day, just a piece of wood. In the lobby, Or keeps eating his curry while watching his former self eliminate the Demon King's entire high command. It is the most overpowered security system imaginable. As he cooks and watches, Or explains the deeper twist. Why did the Demon King never realize that his strongest generals were being wiped out by a door? Because the left door was also a sentient being. It had been given a premium buff of its own that prevented suspicion. So whenever Or and the left door got into loud, ridiculous arguments and screamed at each other to shut up, the Demon King only interpreted those voices as strange inner thoughts. Thanks to that absurd cover, the boss remained completely clueless while Or silently wiped out the entire demonic high command. Eventually, the legendary hero reaches the throne room, sword in hand, ready to challenge evil. He unleashes his strongest attack, but it accomplishes nothing. The Demon King is completely broken. Thanks to an overpowered ability called Infinite Growth, every wound heals instantly and every attack only makes him stronger. The hero's efforts are useless. Then the overachieving left door decides to interfere. It charges a magical blast through its gargoyle mouth and fires a massive laser from behind, putting the hero on the edge of defeat. Then the stupidest miracle imaginable happens. The left door fires again, the hero barely dodges at the last second, and the beam flies straight past him and slams into the Demon King instead. The left door accidentally kills its own boss. With the greatest threat suddenly gone, the story spirals into total nonsense. Rather than celebrating, the heroines become furious because they mistakenly believe Or, the right door, was the one who fired the beam and tried to kill their hero. They begin shouting at him and unleashing all their anger on a literal enchanted door. Or tries to defend himself, yelling that they are blocking the exit, but nobody listens. That misunderstanding kicks off one of the most absurd final battles imaginable. Enraged heroines physically fighting a piece of living wood. The fight becomes so chaotic that the entire Demon King's castle is destroyed in the process. Once the fortress collapses, Or loses the structure that defined his existence and is erased along with it. Another bizarre life, another ridiculous game over. With the fortress reduced to rubble, Ore loses his structural identity and gets erased on the spot. Another bizarre and tragic game over. The moment he respawns, he tries to make a move on the mysterious figure, leaning in with all the confidence in the world, convinced his charm is about to work. It does not. Her reaction is pure disgust. Without even blinking, she increases the gravity tenfold and slams his face into the floor. Then, simply because his existence is annoying her, she raises it to 100 times gravity and crushes him into a flattened, censored puddle of regret. Message received. Stay far away from powerful mystic beings. Luckily for him, respawning is part of the deal. Or comes back, decides to play it safer, and offers her a cup of green tea. The mysterious figure coldly asks if he seriously thinks she brought him back just to serve as her personal barista. Then she threatens to take away his senses and turn his body to stone. Panicking, Or begs for a proper reincarnation this time, something respectable, like a tall and handsome hero. Instead, she announces that his time is up and drops him straight into the transfer system. As he gets pulled through what looks like a cosmic gacha machine, he checks his new status, hoping for something glorious. A legendary sword? Not even close. He has been reincarnated as the second hand of a giant clock tower. The disrespect is unbelievable, and all he can do is thank her with dripping sarcasm. Before fully committing to that life, he checks his cheat ability tablet and finds one absurd option: trigger the Cataclysm protocol at 12 o'clock. Naturally, Aura picks it without hesitation, fully ready to drag the entire world down with him, and then throws himself into the portal. His great journey ends with him bolted to a crumbling clock tower in a fantasy kingdom. Back in the mystic lobby, the mysterious figure calmly sips her tea and adjusts a desk clock as if she is already counting down to his failure. Sure enough, Ore returns just a few hours later, sprawled on the carpet and groaning in pain. She sarcastically asks if he would like his condolences back, then reveals that she even threw him into a desert as a sundial just to mess with him. Or demands the replay of his disaster, and she pulls up the cosmic recording. It turns out the clock tower was the absolute worst place possible for a lonely guy with social anxiety. It was the kingdom's favorite meeting place for obnoxiously affectionate couples. Watching all those happy people made Orr sick to his core. Then the twist hits. The hour hand and the minute hand were also reincarnated beings, one a world tree and the other a magical gem. All three of them share the same hatred for romance, so they form a petty alliance. Together they begin spinning wildly, blasting flirting couples with blinding lasers, terrifying magic, and complete chaos. Their romantic landmark turns into an active war zone, and Aura enjoys every second of it. Everything falls apart when Ore hits the wrong target. In the middle of a grand parade, he accidentally blasts the kingdom's ruler, vaporizing the man's clothes and leaving the king completely exposed in front of everyone. Furious, the naked king orders the tower destroyed immediately. The citizens protest, led by a bizarre hero whose head is literally a sword. Instead of destroying the tower right away, the king orders the Excalibur-faced hero to investigate. Using absurdly sharp logic, the hero figures out that the hands are conscious, but then the ultimate betrayal happens. Because the attacks occur every hour, the mysterious figure manipulates the whole setup and pins the blame on the poor hour hand, letting Ore slip away unnoticed. You would think the lesson would stick. It does not. The tower is rebuilt, and the same annoying couples flood right back to their favorite spot. This time, however, Ore is not the one causing trouble. The sword-headed hero completely snaps after seeing so many happy people and goes berserk. Even the Naked King joins the madness, and the tower gets destroyed all over again. Meanwhile, Aura is safe in the mystic realm, treating the whole thing like a comedy show. The mysterious figure stares at the replay in disbelief and asks, with cold irritation, how the tower was destroyed again. Then comes another angry mob, except this time the leader is a purple demon lord demanding justice for the clock tower. Still shamelessly unclothed, the king orders the demon lord to investigate. Following advice from his adorable skeleton grandson, the demon lord solves the case and blames everything on the minute hand. Meanwhile, Ore, hidden like a piece of invisible dark matter, watches his Minute Hand ally get dismantled, and survives only because no one notices him. But then Ore gets cocky. He accidentally triggers his magic and blasts the Naked King again. The king responds with pure rage and destroys the tower for a third time. At this point, it feels like a time loop. Once again, the mob returns, but now they are led by an incredibly ordinary man in a green suit and top hat. The mysterious figure is confused, but Ore smirks and explains the lore. That man is Tanaka, another reincarnated soul whose defining trait is extreme masochism. He literally wanders around hoping to get hit by magic. Following the same pattern, the king appoints Tanaka as the next investigator, and Tanaka is thrilled by the opportunity. Before Tanaka can do anything useful, the entire plot derails. The Demon Lord's army gets bored and launches a full-scale invasion. In the middle of all this chaos, Ori decides he is done with the kingdom and activates his ultimate move, a devastating meteor shower. Except instead of flaming rocks, giant squishy healing animal blobs start falling from the sky. The attack causes no damage at all, only maximum cuteness. But the tower still collapses and crushes both the Excalibur hero and Tanaka under the rubble. Game over. Back in the Mystic Chamber, Ore does not feel guilty in the slightest. He proudly hands the mysterious figure a glowing golden artifact, the remains of his Minute Hand ally, as a souvenir, and to his surprise, she genuinely likes it. Later, in the Mystic Lobby, Ori is casually eating instant noodles with ordinary chopsticks. Feeling way too confident, he decides to try the classic anime move and feed the mysterious figure directly from his chopsticks. She does not hesitate for even a second. She instantly erases him with a terrifying blast of magic. Then she coldly announces the next round. It is time for another reincarnation. Or pulls the cosmic gotcha, praying for main character luck, only to discover that he has become a literal NPC, the level up notification voice inside a hero's head. Desperate, he begs to at least sound like a cute anime girl. The mysterious figure stares straight through him, calls his inner thoughts completely disturbing, and permanently locks his avatar. As an ordinary adult man, Orr screams in agony as the portal drags him away. He wakes up in a depressing corporate office and realizes the horrifying truth. He is inside the mind of a 10-year-old hero named Mish, but somehow, he is already back in the Mystic Lobby almost immediately, angrily ranting about everything that happened. He explains that his entire job was to sit in a sterile room and wait for a child to grind experience points. To cope with the soul-crushing boredom, he spent 5 full years throwing tantrums, screaming death metal into the mic, and giving the poor kid non-stop migraines until Mish finally turned 15 and began his journey. At last, Hero Mish sets out on his first adventure. His opening battle is against a pathetic low-level slime, and the hero immediately misses his attack. Seeing the perfect chance to be a menace, Ore grabs the mic and turns into an obnoxious DJ, loudly spamming the system message. Hero attacked but missed. He is having the time of his life, humiliating the kid during his first fight. Then another twist appears. Ore is not the only system voice inside Mish's head. The real combat notification voice, a buff and furious guy, gets fed up with Ore's non-stop nonsense, storms into his booth, yells at him to shut up, and immediately immediately beats him senseless inside the mental control room. Back in the mystic realm, Ore and the mysterious figure watch the humiliating replay together. She is clearly entertained while Ore looks completely broken. Imagine complaining about office politics only to realize you literally live inside a teenager's brain. Ore is supposed to be the level-up voice, but instead he is beatboxing while his co-workers lose their minds. Soon, the background music guy joins the chaos, and all 4 system voices are screaming at each other in a ridiculous turf war. In the real world, Mish grabs his head while his inner voices fight over the microphone. The hero keeps leveling, but Ore is terrible at his job. Mish reaches level 4, and no one announces it. Mish finally reaches level 9, and only then does Ore casually deliver the update, claiming the delivery guy had been at the door. Yes, Ore is literally hallucinating package deliveries just to avoid working. Then things turn dark. When Mish reaches level 10, the choice voice suddenly dies. Ore reveals the terrifying truth. Every time the hero reaches a multiple of 10, the system randomly executes one of the voices. It is a full-on death game. Fed up with his own inner staff, Mish decides to level up as fast as possible just to kill them off. The massacre escalates fast. Level 20 kills the delivery guy. Level 30 takes out the pizza guy. Then the plumber and electrician vanish too. One by one, the voices are erased until only Ore and the BGM guy remain, both of them begging for their lives. Trapped and desperate, Ore decides to drag the hero down with him. He flips every switch he can, blasting Mish's mind with an overwhelming storm of notifications at maximum volume. The overload is too much. Hero Mish completely snaps, goes feral, and starts slashing through the system notifications in a rage. After shredding the alerts, he fixes his eyes on Ore and charges. In pure panic, Ore slams the control room door in Mish's face. Then, out of nowhere, a random demon appears in front of him. Without missing a beat, Ore starts throwing punches and beats the creature to death on the spot. As one final act of punishment against Mish, Ore grabs the mic and starts singing like a complete idiot. It is so bad that Mish's brain practically fries. In the real world, the hero becomes a total goofball and starts acting insane in public. But every run has to end. Mish eventually reaches the off switch and smashes it, silencing the irritating voice once and for all. Another game over. Or respawns in the Mystic lobby and starts venting again. The mysterious figure hands him his severance pay with icy indifference, a cheap 1,000-point gift card. Or, still committed to the pettiest possible choices, immediately cashes it in for a brand new aesthetic chopstick that perfectly matches the mysterious figure's vibe. The pettiness never ends. Before the story ends, the narrator drops one last message. More than 99% of the viewers still are not subscribed. If you enjoyed the content, hit the subscribe button. It is completely free, and you can always change your mind later. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.